Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to IronHawk Research. So today we're going to talk about cost curves. So in order to understand economics, you have to understand cost. So today we're going to visualize costs. So this is what a cost curve looks like. So typically we have total cost, we have variable cost, we have fixed cost, and we have marginal cost. So total cost is easy, right? So aggregate cost. Variable cost is something that changes with the quantity of your production. For example, raw material. In order to produce one extra iPhone, it'll cost you extra materials. So materials is a variable cost. What about fixed cost? Fixed cost is like rental costs, right? So it doesn't matter how many iPhones you produce, Apple still need to rent buildings for their employees to work in, right? So rental cost, it's an example of fixed cost. But be careful here. Once your production goes huge, meaning that your production exceed your current capacity, some fixed cost might become variable cost. For example, if the capacity of a machine is 100, so if you produce one iPhone, you need to buy this machine. And if you want to produce 100 iPhones, you still need to buy one of these machines. So this machine now is your fixed cost. But what if you need to produce 150 iPhones? You need to buy two machines because 150 iPhones exceed the capacity of the machine, which is 100 iPhones. So machine now becomes a variable cost. So it all depends. So you need to really understand the situation and decide which one is variable cost, which one is fixed cost. But in the end, total cost is equal to total variable cost plus total fixed cost. And average cost is equal to average variable cost plus average fixed cost. Now let's take a look at this graph. So the y-axis is cost per unit and the x-axis is quantity of production. And we have marginal cost, AC stands for average cost, AVC stands for average variable cost. What is marginal cost? Marginal cost means how much it'll cost you to produce one additional iPhone. So the marginal cost is different from the average cost. Please pay attention to the difference between marginal cost and average cost. Don't get them mixed up. Now, why does the cost curve look like this? It goes down in the beginning until it reaches a bottom and then it goes up. That is because, first of all, it goes down in the beginning. As you produce more product, your cost per unit goes down. That is because the economy of scale. Remember the cost formula, cost is equal to variable cost plus fixed cost. So as you produce more, your average variable cost stays the same, but your average fixed cost goes down. For example, if your machine costs $1 million, and the capacity of that machine is to produce 100 phones. So the fixed cost for you to produce phones is if you produce one phone is $1 million. But if you produce 100 phones, then your average fixed cost becomes $10,000 per phone. So this is why in the beginning, because of economy of scale, your cost per unit will go down as you produce more. But why does it go up in the end? That's because of many reasons. For example, for products that is harmful to our environment, if you produce more than what the government allows you to produce, they'll penalize you, right? So that's increase of cost. Or if you produce too much of your product, you flood the market with the product, it might spur higher competition, meaning that your competitor might put in more effort into innovation and make new version of your product. And in order for you to keep up, you need to invest more into innovations as well. So that's an increase of cost. But what you need to understand is it doesn't matter whether it's your marginal cost or your average cost. It will go down in the beginning because of economy of scale and then go up in the end if your quantity exceeds a threshold. This is what these cost curves looks like a problem. Next, we need to understand the difference between long run and short run. There are two main differences. The first one is in the short run, labor is changeable, but capital is fixed. So based on the model that we're studying here, there are only two inputs of production. One is called labor and the other one is called capital. Labor is just labor, workers, and capital can be factories, machinery, buildings, etc. So why in the short run labor is changeable but capital is not? That is because workers are easier to hire and to fire. So the number of workers can be easily changed, but machines, factories, and buildings are not. Just imagine how long it would take Elon Musk to build another gigafactory. So in the short run, labor is changeable, but capital is fixed. And the second difference is that in the short run, firms can neither enter nor leave industry. The same logic here. In order for a firm to enter a new business or a new industry, they need to prepare. And that preparation needs time. So in the short run, no firm can leave nor enter the industry. So this graph shows you the long run average cost curve versus the short run average cost curve. LRAC stands for long run average cost and SRAC stands for short run average cost. But why do we have multiple short run average cost but only one long run average cost? That is because, remember, in the short run, labor is changeable but capital is fixed. So for every level of capital input, you get a new short-run average cost curve. For example, if your capital is equal to 1, you get the most left-hand side, SRAC. If you increase your capital to 2, you get a new curve, SRAC2. If you increase your capital to 5, you get a new curve, SRAC5. But in the long run, both labor and capital are changeable. That's why you only get one long-run average cost curve. See, from Q1 to Q2, you see in the beginning, the LRAC decreases. This is because the economies of scale, as we talked about, then it becomes flat. It's called cost and return to scale. This means that as you produce more, your cost does not go down anymore. And eventually, it'll start to go up. It's called diseconomies of scale. This curve shows that firms will try to produce the quantity where marginal cost MC is equal to the average cost AC. Why? Because first of all, for a firm to maximize profit, it needs to produce at a quantity where AC is at its minimum, which is point B. And at point B is where the MC intersects the AC, meaning MC is equal to AC at point B. That is because before point B, MC is lower than AC. So for every additional product you produce, you can still bring down your AC. But after point B, MC is larger than AC, meaning that for every additional product you produce, you will lift your AC. Then it's not worth it. So firms want to produce where MC is equal to AC. At this point, the production is the most efficient. So that's some of the key concepts about production costs that you need to understand. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.